Welcome, everyone, to the Men of Law podcast. I'm very pleased today to be talking to my own cousin, a blood relative, Dennis Cole. He is an author, a pastor, and an actor. So thank you, Dennis, for being here.
Thank you so much, Karl.
So where would you like to begin? You've done so many things in your life. Give us some background.
When I was very young, I was talking about this the other day to a few friends, so it's fresh in my mind. I used to play stranger and good guy. They would talk to each other. I was by myself a lot. It was the early 1950s, and I was by this pole on Bronx Boulevard. I was born in the Bronx, and I played stranger. Stranger looked like this, and good guy looked like this. And they used to dialogue with each other, and I kept myself entertained. Maybe it was the early signs of an actor. I'm not sure. All I know is I learned that way. I learned in the subjective. I've got to be there to understand it.
Okay. So you tell us about your acting background, training as a young.
Well, I didn't have any as a young. I played so many sports in high school. I got 8 varsity letters. 8. That's a lot. That means I was starting in my sophomore year as a wrestler and a baseball player. So there just wasn't any time. Yet I always knew that acting was something that was so personal. But I just got I want to call it a sports addiction. That was my search for significance. I would feel that I was significant if I could play in sports. My father wasn't around very much, and in fact, I love my father deeply, so it doesn't sound like I'm complaining, but he didn't come to one of my sporting events. I might have done as many as 300 from junior high to senior high. He just never made it, and I always felt bad for him about that. But anyway, I did it. Maybe that's one of the reasons I did it so much, just to do it. I was pretty good, but I didn't get a chance to do any acting until I took Acting 1 at Northeastern University, which wasn't an artist school. It's a school for MIT people, for people that didn't make it into MIT in Cambridge. MIT's in Cambridge, Northeastern's in Boston. So the engineers that couldn't make it, if you will, at MIT went to Northeastern. And here I was at Northeastern as an English major. So nobody bothered me and they left me alone. Got a chance to do my own little education.
But did you do some theater in Boston?
Well, yeah, I took Acting 1 at Northeastern. And when I took Acting 1, suddenly I realized that, oh my, this is how I learn, from the subjective, from the inside out. I mean, this is me. I started to become, instead of an intellectual, fearful guy that I was really kind of dumb and stupid, I started to articulate everything. And people started to think I was smart. I liked that they thought I was smart, even if I wasn't.
So English major, and then did you go out for plays right there in Boston? I know
I was an English major, and I suddenly became an acting minor. I didn't want to become an acting theater major because there's a lot of courses I didn't want to take. Again, I wanted to do my own curriculum. So I kind of created my own curriculum on English and acting. But I joined the Hub Theater in Boston. I joined the Provincetown Playhouse. That was an honor to be selected on Cape Cod, the Eugene Theater, the actual theater that Eugene O'Neill created. I think they call it Provincetown on the Wharf, Provincetown Playhouse on the Wharf. And it was the actual theater that Eugene O'Neill created. He developed that theater. He wrote his plays, and it was done right there in Provincetown. And I was one of the actors there. So I did that. And I did some productions with the Silver Mask, which is also the theater department of Northeastern.
Okay. And did you have thoughts about this is my career, this is what I want to do the rest of my life?
Yeah, it's a good question, Karl. I would say that the strength that I had, moral strength I had among my friends, is that everybody said, well, Dennis, you don't have to worry about your future. You know what you're going to be. you know what you're going to do. Well, I have to think about, what kind of a job I'm going to get. And, jobs and money didn't seem to be a factor with me. I just knew who I was and what I was going to do. And all my business major friends or engineer types, they were concerned about getting a good grade, getting a good job. But I didn't care about getting good grades. I didn't care about anything like that. I smoked a lot of marijuana, and I was pretty high, too, a lot. That was a big deterrent, by the way. That was unfortunate.
A deterrent for what?
To acting, to going to work on Monday. I got really high. I'd get really high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you many years ago when I think I was still in high school, and I was wanting to go to college for theater and acting and film and cinema and all this stuff. And I had a conversation with you because someone told me, your cousin Dennis has done some of that. And I distinctly remember you saying that so much of theater is about depravity.
I said that.
Yeah, I remember that word, about people lacking spirit, lacking faith, lacking love, all the things that we want in life.
I had a problem. It's a funny thing about this. You're bringing up memories. I forgot. I remembered. The Silver Mask. I don't want to dump on the Silver Mask, whatever they call it at Northeastern now in Boston. But I remember after I did something in the summer, I think I played the Music Man in a production in Portchester, New York, right near Rye, where I was from, Rye, New York. And I gained so much confidence. I played Harold Hill, and I was really in the moment. And I remember I never walked into the little green room at the Silver Mask where the actors hung out. I never once walked in there that whole junior year. I think it was junior or senior, whatever it was. I didn't walk in that door. And I never, ever talked to one of the actors. I just didn't want to, in my mind, I didn't want to ruin what I had as an actor. It was so personal. It was so enjoyable. It was like playing stranger and good guy all the time, like I did when I was 5 and 4 or 3 years old. And I was just did it. I mean, they always gave me good parts, and I always played leads, and it was great. But I didn't hang out with any of the actors at all. The depravity. When I first talked to you, I remember I'd already become a Christian when I was 34. And absolutely everything changed. I went from career in acting and career in business. I was good in business. I was really good in a little garment. I was good at closing sales. I had a Dennis Cole Ltd. I was a designer, actor, and very good salesperson, marketing guy. But I became a Christian suddenly. And it was amazing, the transformation that happened suddenly and gradually at the same time. By the time I talked to you, I think I remember saying that Hollywood is, I probably used the word depravity, depraved. But I thought that even before I was a Christian, that it was a very dark world, very, like one of my favorite actors said, when I act, I lie. I'm a liar. And I would say to him, I remember right there on the wharf in Provincetown Playhouse, I'd say, that's not me at all. It wasn't a religious statement to me. I didn't even become a believer, a Christian, until 14 years later. But I said to him, no, acting is the truth. It's where I find I find myself. I'm writing a story. I'm writing my own autobiography. And I'm always playing myself, just as different people.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Because as an actor, you have to find whatever the truth is of that character in that situation.
Correct.
Your character might be, deluded or mistaken or deceptive within the story, but you got to find the truth.
Yeah, it's almost like a good teacher once said to me, what would let's say I was playing Karl Lentini. What would I do, Dennis, if I was playing Karl? Well, I have to say on my cell phone, hi, I'm Karl. So what does that mean? Hi, I'm Karl. Do you still have that on your cell phone?
I do. Yeah.
I love that. But that says so much about you. Hi, I'm Karl. You're the only one that I've ever known that done that. I'd have to fit into that, but I'd find the unique things in me that relate to that, and I'd be Karl.
Well, yeah, exactly. You find whatever it is within you that matches that character.
Correct. And then you play it out in the first person. That's why I love acting. It's so subjective. Yeah. I said about the world. One of my books I wrote, Journey Through the Narrow Gate, my lead character, David Cohen, he comes to the Broadway Theater District. He hadn't been there in 15 years. He completely walked away from his wife, his child. And it was weird because he really loved his wife and his child, but he walked away because he got connected with tarot card readers, and they prophesied on him and they bummed him out, and he walked away and he was completely miserable. But for the first time in 15 years, he walks to the Broadway Theater District, and he walks into this theater called Narrow Gate Theater, and he meets the cast. And they're all Bible characters. Every one of them is a Bible character. Very, very familiar ones too, like Luke from the New Testament, Jonah from the Old Testament. You know, characters you can get your teeth into. And I think Luke says that, and he talks in the first person to Bible characters. And Luke says things like, "Oh, we're all actors." In fact, I wrote the book of acting. Well, the truth is, Luke wrote the book of Acts, but in the Narrow Gate Theater, they call it the book of acting. And yet, oh, that's great. And well, what do you do? He says, "Well, I help people come out of denial." Well, so I said, this is David Cohen saying, "Well, how does that work?" "Well, people have objective learning disorder, David." "What do you mean objective learning disorder?" "Well, we call it OLD." And he starts to laugh. People have objective learning disorder. They're so out-directed that they don't even know who they are anymore. They go to somebody else to find out who they are. You, David, you went to tarot card readers, but other people go to, movies or their job or anybody else to find out who they are. That it isn't them. We find it in the culture, and it's a very confused culture. And so we work on people to come out of recovery. You mean sort of like? So I say to Luke, you mean sort of like, "Hi, I'm David," and he goes, "Yeah, hi, David." Like a recovery group. OLD, objective learning disorder. Yeah, but acting is the opposite. It's right here. It's now, and I love it.
Yeah, Journey Through the Narrow Gate. That's the title, right?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, and the other one I like a lot is The Man, When Hope Is All We Have. It's another one on Amazon. Really well written books. It sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not. I don't take credit for it. I think God wrote it through me. But it's very well written. It's very, very, well, yeah, I think you read one of them, didn't you, Karl?
I've read both.
Well, both. Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you like one more than the other? I'm curious.
I would say probably Journey Through the Narrow Gate, just because I relate more to the actor.
No,
and using acting to find truth and find yourself.
That was true. That was David Cohen. Yeah. The other guy, Joe Daly, was a journalist. That's another thing close to my heart. And by journaling who the man is, who's this man? This man is showing up around the world, and he's intrigued, but he's also jealous of the guy because Joe is an underachiever, frustrated guy, and the man is. It's what it is. If any of your followers have ever read the book of Luke in the New Testament, there's a short story in the book of Luke where two characters, Cleopas and his partner, we never get his name, meet Jesus on the road to Emmaus. But this is after Jesus raises from the dead, and he doesn't look the same anymore. So my joke is, what happens when Jesus doesn't look like Jim Caviezel anymore? You're a traitor. You're a false prophet. You don't look like Jim Caviezel. Of course, that's a joke. But anyway, so the man shows up around the world, and he's changing people's lives, but he's not saying, "I'm Jesus." He's just talking to people, and he goes on to the next person. And finally, it comes out that the man is the Son of Man. But it's a good mystery revealed. Yeah, the man, when hope is all we have.
Well, what I see, the common thread in both these books is somebody on a search, someone on a journey.
Definitely, Karl. I'm older than I've ever been right now. In fact, this is the oldest I've ever been in my life. Right now, talking to you.
Okay.
That's amazing. And I'm telling you, I've come to a place where I enjoy the journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, I don't enjoy bad or good or ugly, but I enjoy the journey. And the Bible says a verse like something like, "In everything, give thanks."
Okay. Are you working on a third book?
You know, if I was, I'd call it The Executioner. It comes out of a dream I had just a few days ago. It was so real that there was no jobs left except to be an executioner. That's the only job that was left. And I considered, well, there's such thing as capital punishment, So again, always being positive, trying to, if there's no jobs left, maybe I can be the executioner. But then I found out that I had to execute good people, nice people, good people like you, Christians and people that stand like Charlie Kirk. Those I have to kill people. I said, oh my God. And then at the end of the dream, I realized there was no job for me. There was nothing for me in this world anymore, except for me to be a voice. This is where the artist comes in, the artist's voice. And the Narrowgate News Show, it's a podcast and TV show we do. It's a radio show too, come to think of it. We call it Where Information Meets Transformation. And I would be this person, an information person and a transformation person, and that would be my life. Ultimately, that's who I really feel I am, Karl. I feel as though I don't really have a job in this world. I really don't have a place. And I'm just a voice that finds outlets. Like you've invited me to come on your show. I'm thrilled about it. An outlet. I have my own show. I do it. I go wherever I go. One of my favorite books I read when I was studying acting, this is in New York City now, I was studying acting at the Gene Frankel Theater, was two books. One was Towards a Poor Theater, and the other one was Empty Space, The Empty Space by Peter Brook. Peter Brook would say, fill that space. Don't look for a job. You have a job. Do it. When I became a Christian, I thought about church planting. I said, yeah, I'll plant a church. I won't go to a church. I'll plant one. And I live that way. I actually, I've given into that creativity, but it's concrete. It's not just air. It's not like 2 + 2 = 5, which a lot of people believe, but isn't true. 2 + 2, I'm an old timer. 2 + 2 = 4. Oh, you're so irrelevant. Well, I actually believe that though. But 2 + 2, both people say 2 + 2 = 5. But what I'm saying is very concrete. It's creative and it's very concrete. You do it here. So that's just my take on that.
And so you go to churches performing, right?
I
Tell us about that.
That's not the only place I go, but I do go to churches to perform, yes. But I do something that you're not used to, yeah.
I did see that one time. So tell us what that's like, what you do.
Yeah, I'll walk into a church where church is an interesting place. And in some ways, it's the most radical place, even though there's a term in the Bible called be a new wineskin, don't be an old wineskin. You can't pour old wine into a new wineskin because it'll make it go bad. You got to pour new wine into a new wineskin. So I'm a new wineskin thinker in person, and I think that's good. And the church sometimes can be very old wineskin, extremely old. On the other hand, it's still radical. It's a very radical place. Charlie Kirk would say church, correctly defined as government, it's a government of its own. It's not like a human government, get out of the way. I'm a Christian. You believe like me, and or not, you die. That's just not true. That's not Christianity at all. But Christianity it's a parallel world that's happening simultaneous with this world. That's why Jesus says, on earth as it is in heaven. But what was the question you asked? Because I'm getting off the subject.
Well, just what do you do in your performances? What is that like?
I walk in as a new wineskin. I'm doing something I'm not used to. For instance, if let's say it's the First Church of the so-and-so. And they're a Bible-believing church, and I hope they are, but they used to get in the Bible like this. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. That's John chapter 1, verse 1. But when I go in there, it's internalized. It's not memorized, and it's not read. It's from the inside out. And it's very much you have moments of engagement. The last time I did Sermon on the Mount, which was just a couple of weeks ago, I started the Lord's Prayer, and I was breaking down. I was crying. And I was having this dialogue with God while I'm up there. You know how it's like when you have a lot of things going on when you're up there. I said, God, this is weird. I mean, I'm crying out there, Our Father who art in heaven. And he said, Jesus, the Holy Spirit said to me, he said, yeah, Dennis, you're not playing me. You never were playing me. I'm playing you. And that's what's different. Jesus playing you. And that's a new wineskin. That's new. And that's brand new in the church. It's like, whoa. I've done about 2,000 events since January 2001. So that's about 25 years from this recording here. And I tell you, it's really been healthy. It's been a good thing for me. And I've relearned the craft of acting. Oh, I mean, you talk about an actor getting work. I got a lot of work, and I relearned the craft. It's just a freeing thing. I remember in the old days, I'd be nervous, or worry about my lines. I never worry about my lines. I make them up if I don't know them. Do improv right there on the spot. And of course, that anchors you till you find your lines again. Yeah. So, yeah, I do churches, but no, I don't just do churches. I do meetings. I do spontaneous things in the street. I go out with a few of us. I do workshops. I'm doing a workshop tonight with a few actors. I'm doing a revival meeting later this week called Resurrect a Nation. And I'm going to have little acting spots here and there. So it's a theatrical company. It's God's theater. It's Shakespeare on steroids. It's beyond Shakespeare, but it's Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare, by the way. I love the whole idea and the whole reality of William Shakespeare. 37 plays and I think 122 sonnets. He was a producer. He was a director. His actor name was Will Kemp, I'm told. He loved acting. Yeah.
So your theater, and this is in. Tell us where it is.
It's wherever I am right now. It's happening here. you know what I'm saying? I might make this part of Narrowgate News. This whole interview might go on Narrowgate News. Certainly parts of it, I'm sure will. You're tapping into things I don't talk to there, and which is good. You're asking me questions, which is good. I need that.
Well, I just want people watching this, if anyone's interested, to see it. I want to be able to put a link or something.
Sure. But you're doing a service to me too. Thank you.
Sure.
For me.
Well, having done some acting here and there in my life,
slightly.
When you're really cooking, when it's really working, you're very much, it's in the moment, as they say.
In the moment, yes, I always say that. It's always in the moment. What I say to people, I love live acting. I love stage. But what I say to people, what I love most about film is that when we're doing it, it's in the moment. It's happening right there.
Yeah, film is kind of a different animal. I mean, it's still in the moment. You're still capturing it on camera. But I kind of miss theater. I wouldn't mind getting up on a stage.
And to me, it's not a big difference. It is different, but I find that the film stuff helps me to really crystallize that inner monologue. You really got to know it from the inside, and that's how I do live theater too. But a lot of people in live theater think it's being loud so the guy in the last row can hear you, but that's not authentic. You've got to be authentic.
When I saw you perform once, it was at a church. I don't know if perform is the right word.
Yeah, it's for both. I always say present, but that's okay.
Present. In Los Angeles, I saw you. And you had kind of the dress code of what someone like Jesus would wear.
Yeah.
And you were just talking. There was some, verbiage from the Bible or actual words that he said, but it was a presentation of you being played, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know you felt that way. Yeah, what actually happened is that I was actually doing the words. I remember that day. I did Sermon on the Mount. I remember where you were sitting. I remember looking at the audience. What I do with the audience, I ask the lights to be on because I want to have eye contact. And the audience always says, wow, I felt like I was there. And I got a lot out of it, which is nice. What I'm doing is I'm actually looking right at everybody so that they're in the play. So to me, they're not observers, they're in it. So I'm looking at them. That's how I remember exactly where you were sitting, and I know where you were. I just remember it now. But it's funny that you said I was just talking, which is kind of a compliment to me, because I was actually doing the words to Sermon on the Mount. There's about 105 verses, and I was just doing them. And to the best of my ability to concentrate, I won't even call it ability, but my ability to concentrate, Jesus was playing me. And I was getting every word that he gave me. Now, I had internalized those words. Key for an actor, he's got to internalize his lines. If he's got one line or he's got a lot of lines, got to internalize it. That's how you can play it. Or it's all superficial. If it's not internalized, it's all ha, ha, ha. But if it's internalized, it's, yeah, right there.
Right. And what I really saw was you making the connection with people.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was doing. Thank you. But I remember doing that, and that's what I do. The last time I did Sermon on the Mount, the last 2 times I've done Sermon on the Mount, which was the last month or so, I do it in street clothes. I don't even dress. And my point is, I don't look like Jim Caviezel anyway, I don't look like Jesus, if you will. So I'm not even going to try. I don't even want to. I just want to see what it's like. And I like doing it. I just regular clothes. Yeah.
Street clothes, as they say.
Street clothes. So 2025.
Yeah. So what is next for you? What are you working on now?
It's a good question, Carl. Getting me to think for a second. Probably a lot of things I'm working on. I'd like to see Narrowgate News develop into more of a theatrical thing. I'd like to have some of my actors, maybe you, Karl, we could just do some scripted improv on news events. A take on it. Maybe interview somebody. It'd be fictional. I'll just give an example. I just did a Narrowgate News. I mean, the last one hasn't even gone on Rumble yet. And the guy is from an organization called CPAC. CPAC? Oh, gosh. No, not CPAC. No, it's something 26. Oh. Karl, when I get it for you, you can put it on the screen because I'm forgetting the name of his organization. I just interviewed him. About a prayer revival group, 2026. Bringing churches and people together from March 1st to March 7th of 2026 for revival. And the guy is a very enthusiastic man, and I really liked him. I really liked him. And we had lunch prior to this interview. And I said, can I do an improv with you? And he said, sure. So I did an improv with him, and instead of becoming nervous, sometimes I work with actors, and you do an improv with an actor, and all of a sudden he starts to act. It doesn't work. You got to be real. Acting is the ability to not act and be real. It's a paradoxical way of putting it. So he just was real. So I said to him, when we do the show today, I think I want to do an improv with you on the air. And he said, yeah, I'll do that. And and I got a chance to do exactly what I'd like to do for Narrowgate News. I did a news report in an improv. He says, they got to know Jesus. They got to know Jesus. They got to know Jesus. If you go on AI, Grok, you'll see they'll say that if this is true, that he has to be the Son of God. He's a Southerner. So the character that I decided to play in that moment, I said to Hank, Hank, let's do an improv. So I suddenly became a character that was listening to this, and I immediately started saying to him, this is stupid. I hate what you're saying. I mean, well, this is the stupidest thing I've ever. What do you mean? What do you mean all this garbage? What are you waving the Bible around for? What are you doing that for? I played in Suing the Devil, and Malcolm McDowell, the famous bad guy, and he's making up lines throughout the script, and one of the lines he comes in, the characters is a lawyer is suing the devil in court, and he starts waving the Bible around, and Malcolm says, why are you always waving the Bible around? Well, what are you always doing that for? Well, the truth is the devil was threatened by it, but why are you always waving the Bible around? So I did an improv with the guy, and to my surprise, Hank was so good at being convincing. And my character had accepted Jesus 15 different times. That's one of the phenomena of people who go to revivals and get saved. They've been saved 15 times. Obviously, that's a human understanding. It's somebody that's trying to get saved, but doesn't quite fit, but he always wants to come back. So my characters have been saved 15 times. I've heard this, and all of a sudden I started to crack. I said, "This is," and he's going on about what it's like, and I'm telling him, and there's a 9-minute interview, and I just said, pray for me. And I think the last thing I said to him was, "You mean I won't have to do this a 16th time?" Which is a laugh line, but it was sincere. Anyway, that's the kind of news I'd like to bring. I like to get my guys to reenact real news things, like, why are you wearing your mask? Where's your mask? That would be something I would have done in 2020. You're screaming at somebody in a supermarket, he's not wearing his mask. You're killing me! You're killing me! To show that, and do some commentary on it.
Yeah, that's intriguing, because instead of it's the same thing going to a church or a service. Mm-hmm. Instead of hearing someone read something or talking to you from an intellectual perspective, well, this is what happened, this is what so-and-so said. You're kind of in the moment, living it, and you discover things that way. And I think actors will relate to what...
And so will the audience, because you're discovering, Karl, and Karl, everybody, I want you to know Karl's a great actor, Karl Lentini.
Thank you.
He's very good. But when you're discovering it as the actor, so is the audience. If you're not, they're not. Now, we can all fake it. We can all say we are, but that doesn't mean we are just because we fake it. In fact, we're not. If we're faking it, we're not.
Mm-hmm. And that's something I love about acting. And you respond to it viscerally when you see an actor find and discover things. Right. In the play or the movie or whatever it is. Yeah. And as you're a writer, I write stuff, you have to have conflict, you have to have problems, you have to have a seemingly insurmountable problem for your heroes, right? Right. And so
and the world helps you because there's a lot of conflict.
Right. I know some people kind of dismiss it's just entertainment. It's just fluff. But I don't know. I think there's value and truth in it.
Well, you read Charles Dickens. You read William Shakespeare. You read there's a lot of great writers.
Well, you said Eugene O'Neill, others.
Yeah, great playwright.
Albee and
Edward Albee. I played a guy on the bench. I forget the name of the play. What an amazing script! Oh, I wish I could remember the name of it. He's on the bench, and it's a one-act play. It's an amazing play. I just become a believer, and I just needed to I hadn't done any acting for 9 years, And then when I became a believer, a Christian, I really became born again. The Holy Spirit lived in my heart. Still does, of course. I got back to acting. Now, there's a great Bible verse that says the gifts and callings of God are irrevocable. That means he gave it to you before you were born. and you'll come back to it. But I came back to acting as a believer, and all of a sudden I was an improvisational actor. It was easy. I was breathing like an exhale. It was like, whoo. And I played Edward Albee. I wish I could remember the name of that play, but I'll put it on the board for you when I remember it. I'll have Ron Carter, my partner, look it up with me or for me. Edward Albee's play, or I asked Wendy. She saw the play. But yeah, Edward Albee's he's a very good playwright.
Yeah, you're triggering a memory in me because
there's another guy I used to follow. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go on.
Many years ago, I acted in a one-act play written by Edward Albee. It was me and another actor, and I don't remember the title or what it was about, but it was just two guys. The other guy was having some real problem with something, and I'm trying to help him, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. C.S. Lewis was the name I was trying to remember. He's a great fiction writer. Typical Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, that generation, the 40s, 50s. These are guys who were like I was, just a guy, and they become Christian. And the gifts that they had before they were Christian blossoms on this side of faith. Key thing with Christianity is you don't want to become religious. You want to just let your humanness come out. Jesus came for all humanity. He's the creator of every human being that ever lived. And he's come to restore humanity, to fix it through the death on the cross and the resurrection. He's called the second Adam. It's the fixing of humanity. You become free. You're a caterpillar, now you're a butterfly. Wow. That is the ultimate acting, and it's wonderful. But C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, these guys, Lord of the Rings, these are guys that great writers that stayed the same and completely changed. They had the gift, but it became enhanced.
Yeah, I love how you incorporate popular art like Lord of the Rings in some of your podcasts.
Yeah, we use it on our show, Narrowgate News. I've used It's a Wonderful Life a zillion times.
Right.
Potter represents the New World Order. He wants to own you. And everybody in town is afraid of Potter. Now, they love George Bailey, but they don't really support George. So George is on the bridge trying to kill himself. He wants to kill himself. He's got 5 beautiful kids, the best-looking wife in the town, the most supportive wife, family, everything. But he's a loser because he never got that opportunity to get out of town. He has no confidence. And he's miserable because the New World Order's got him stuck. And the people that love him can't even support him because Potter owns them. So Potter plays his hand. And what happens while George is trying to kill himself on the bridge, the angel comes and talks to him, and he shows what life would be like if George was never born. But during that same time, the town is going around, they're finding out that George is in big trouble. And they got to raise money that Potter stole from him because Uncle Billy handed him the money, handed him $8,000, which is the closing balance for the year. He's about to go to jail. And George is on the bridge, and all this is going on. He sees what life would be like if he was never born. And he starts funny. He finally says, I don't care if I go to jail. I want to live. And I love that line. Oh, Stewart says, Jimmy Stewart, I want to live. Oh, God, I want to live. 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 And I use that line, the exact line, when I played Jonah. I wrote a play called Jonah, 120,001. And I added a chapter. So I say to people, listen, I'm not adding to the Bible. I'm not a plagiarist. I'm not a heretic. I wrote an original play. But I have Jonah coming back to God saying, I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. Jonah is very jealous of the Ninevites getting saved in the 4th chapter of the book of Jonah. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. He sees the end of his ways. And Jimmy Stewart does. And he's willing to go to jail. Well, he finds out that all the garlic eaters, that's what Potter calls his people, instead of calling them guineas, excuse the expression, they're all Italians. Come on, Carl, you can excuse me, my mother's Italian. That's where we're related. Don't let my last name fool you, Lentini. He calls them garlic eaters, which is so unflattering. It's even worse than calling them a wop, I think. But he calls them the garlic eaters. See if they'll come through for you, George. And he wants to live. Well, it finds out that he doesn't have to go to jail. All the people, they actually came alive. They fought the New World Order. They fought back. And we can fight back today too, Carl, because that's really what's going on today. Globalists. What's going on at 30,000 feet is going on in suicides, in miserable lives on the street. It is. It's very sad.
Well, in It's a Wonderful Life, you have Potter representing the powers that be that want to run your life.
Right.
He tries to recruit George Bailey.
Right.
Oh, you have some talent. People like you. Why don't you come work for me?
Exactly.
That's what they do. It's
exactly.
They just absorb and gobble up everything. It's like in you remember the Mel Brooks movie? I think it was a silent movie where he had the big movie studio called Engulf and Devour.
Yeah.
Based on Gulf and Western, Engulf and Devour.
I'm familiar with the yeah.
Yeah, it's worth seeing. And I'm a student, you could say, of the hero's journey, the monomyth, all this Joseph Campbell type stuff.
Uh-huh.
And in the hero's journey, you have your hero typically encounters death, where he has to confront death, or you think there's a moment where he's died, and or he totally gives up the quest, the journey, whatever it is. Mm. So it's something that we all do, and it resonates with people, and you see it in stories because it resonates with us. We all face that point in our lives at one point or the other. Wow.
Crisis of belief is sometimes called. It's that moment. And that's I think every short story has to have that moment, the crisis of belief. That Jesus calls it entering through the narrow gate, where it's a huge conflict. You're going to fit through the narrow gate. You got to drop all the baggage you're carrying. You got to drop some good stuff as well. You got to drop all the bad stuff. You got to drop some good stuff for something better.
Now, I want to ask you something kind of in a different direction, because of your background and what you do. The movie Men of Law is about human trafficking.
Yes.
And the reason why there's human trafficking for the purposes of, I hate to say it, but rape and prostitution.
Yes.
For people of all ages.
Yes.
And why does this happen? Why do we do this? What is motivating this within people?
Wow, that's a great question, Carl. I just asked. I talked to my wife Wendy the other day on the very subject. I was very affected by Jim Caviezel's film. What's it called again?
Sound of Freedom.
I saw it 4 times by myself every time. By the way, why? It's the ultimate sickness. It's sick. Now we have to accept that we live in a very sick world. I never think that it can't be cured. It can't be healed. I totally believe it can, though it takes a remedy from another world to fix the problem in this world. That's why I love that verse, on earth as it is in heaven. That's like my favorite line as an actor, on earth as it is in heaven. But why? I think that we have to accept, and Hollywood is a tremendous proponent of this. Hollywood, Washington, D.C., media, there's a lot of satanic, ritualistic, cannibal, cabal stuff going on that involves child sacrifice. And Satan gets off on it. He gets off on it big because it's sick, it's perverted. And people that, wear nice clothes and live in nice houses, they are leading the charge here. You know, the people whose names we don't know, perhaps some names we do know. I'm not going to name names. That's not what I'm trying to do here. You know, I don't know exactly anyway. I just know it's happening. And there's a lot of that going on. It's very sick. You know, the Epstein world is more than just the politicians and the actors and Hollywood people that are in it, that do it. It's the brides. It's what people will do to get ahead so they can be worshiped. Satan's biggest issue is he wants to be worshiped. And when he gets a hold of a human being, that human wants to be worshiped. And that's where we get the star system. That's what I was probably warning you about, you know, years ago. The star system is filled with humanistic worship. The first commandment is have no other gods before me. Well, I think that's the biggest commandment violation. It's humanism. We want to worship humans, and humans love it, and we get off on it. And if there's a part of me that's getting off on it because I'm doing a Christian film, that needs to be kicked out, needs to be expelled from my body, gone, thrown into Mount Doom. You know, Lord of the Rings, you know, throw it into Mount Doom. Get rid of it. Throw it away. It'll only destroy you. You can't negotiate with the devil. And I think that's the biggest proponent as to why they would do this to children.
So it's like it's total self-indulgence.
The ultimate.
The ultimate.
Yes.
To control other people.
Correct.
In a purely selfish way, and that takes many shapes and sizes. There's many ways of doing that.
Right.
Because I've talked to a lot of law enforcement people on trafficking cases, and that's after the fact. That's almost like it's too late. You know, what corrupted the person to do that kind of crime in the first place?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this podcast, the movie, what people do out there can, I don't know, change people's minds or calm somebody down or make them rethink what they're doing. That's my hope, anyway.
Well, that was your motivation in making the film?
Partly, because you know, my friend Charles Gorgano, who I wrote Men of Law with, we wrote 3 screenplays together.
Right.
And so I chose this one to film. Charles sadly passed away a few years ago.
Right.
But I chose this one mainly for budget reasons. It was the closest within range, budgetary wise. But I think it you know, you have to embrace everything, all the good things that can happen from it.
Yes. So tragically, your friend Charles died. You wrote three screenplays together. You are obviously very good friends. What's the best thing that came from it at this point in your life?
The best thing that came of the movie, or us being friends?
And the movie and Charles' death.
Is the ability to carry on our vision.
Oh,
that all the time we spent, all the hours, me going to his place and going somewhere in Los Angeles takes a lot of effort just because of traffic and time schedule. And we spent a lot of time working together, just him and me, communicate. Even when I had moved from Los Angeles to Texas, we still worked together and managed to write together. Right. So I can't just let that go. Just put it on a shelf. We came together for a reason to have this creative partnership and friendship, and I want to keep that going.
That's beautiful, Karl. That's a real value. I think it's wonderful. You know, again, I never knew Charlie Kirk. I've seen him live, and I loved one of his answers that really reached me. It really made me realize that this guy was special. But in his death, there really is life that comes from it. It really does. That's the beautiful work of Jesus. That's the second Adam. That's the resurrection. broken bread, poured out wine, the Last Supper, being brought together again in a new body, a new hope. And it's a very real value. I think it's great. Tribute to Charles is a beautiful thing. And I just, you talked about it with me before, and I've always felt that void. As early as this morning, I was thinking to myself, driving here, I was thinking, gosh, do I have a best friend? And I think you had that with Charles, somebody you can actually talk to. And I don't want to sound super religious by saying this, but I would say that I heard Jesus say, I am that friend. And I just stopped what I was doing, took about a half hour and just listened and just kind of hung out in the car, talked a little bit, had some espresso coffee. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, Karl. I just think it's great. I just think you got some more babies in you. You got more life in you, more film scripts, and you got another statement. But that Charles thing is. I hope you both see each other in heaven someday. How's that?
I hope so too. I hope so too, and I hope he can somehow watch the film from up there. He'll see it one way or the other, and I think he would be proud of it.
Yeah.
The filmmaker side of me is, there's always that part of the film you're still reshooting in your head. I'm sure you do the same thing with the book.
Like you, but I'm a visionary. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. But
okay, so you want to do it again? What would you like to do again?
Oh, I don't want to give spoilers. You'd have to watch the film.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, well, anyhow, thank you for your time, Dennis. Is there any parting words? Anything else you want to say?
First of all, thank you. You're a terrific interviewer, which doesn't surprise me. Parting words. Shakespeare says, parting is such sweet sorrow. In the spirit of Charles, and definitely in the spirit of Charlie Kirk, who made it so the gospel message could be relevant. Charlie was not a religious guy, super cool, super perfect. He wasn't legalistic. He wasn't outer directed. He started young, and I think that God blessed that. And he was able to, without a lot of baggage. You remember, older people have a lot of baggage. I mean, you don't have to have a lot of baggage to get older, but you have to always unpack it. And he just went in there, and he made it so we could see how Jesus was really entering the political world he lived in. He called the Pharisees, he said, unless your righteousness is greater than the Pharisees and the scribes, you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, if he was saying that today, he'd be saying, unless your righteousness is greater than the rhinos and the Democrats and the New World Order, that's the Roman government, which he implied, unless you're better than that. So he's addressing the issues that are going on in the world today, and so many churches don't even want to touch it. But Charlie touched it, and now all these Christians are saying, wow, and the whole world is saying, wow. And I'm praying that Christianity, as it's expressed, the essence of Christianity has always been the same, but as it's expressed, would have relevance and absolute news reporting, great plays, great moments, and great passion, because the greatest passion, the greatest play, it's better than Shakespeare, is the story of Jesus, the reality of it, but how it plays out in your life, in mine. All the Karls and Dennises and Joes and Julies and Pedros and all the peoples in the world having that story. There's a unique story. It's art. It's great. It transcends art. It's information, but it transcends information. It's transformation. That is what I hope happens. And I bless you, Karl, in your life. And thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you, Dennis, and appreciate your time. And I hope to do it again.
I would like that. Thank you.
Okay. You take care.